Brad Lord, mate, thank you so much for joining us today on the chat. How are you today, mate?
Yeah, well, thank you, mate. Thanks for having me. It's mate, from what I know about this so far, I'm excited.
Cheers, man. So, yeah, a little bit of a recap of what the chat is about. It's a very simple, informal chat between gents to talk about any sort of challenges that we've come up with in life and just how we dealt with them. For me personally, over the last, as long as I've lived, I've had challenges around anxiety and depression. And what I found that helped me was just listening to other guys, other like-minded guys, and hearing their stories and just basically feeling like you belong. When I was struggling with anxiety, when I was going through high school, I thought there's something wrong with me. I'm the only one sort of going through this, and that's a really sort of isolating feeling. So the chat is just about bringing that stuff to the forefront of people's awareness and going, yep, I've had this challenge or whatever that happens to be. And if we can somehow resonate with that and relate to it and it can help someone, well, that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, mate, I think it's very empowering what you're doing. And I'm fortunate to be in the position that I'm in. I run, operate and run a labour hire and recruiting agency, and mate, people are my business. I'm
Yes.
being an avid sportsman, from very, very young age. I've got a lot of mates that I've sort of grown up with and, still mates with today. And, primarily I spend a lot of time with males in a work environment. And, I'll digress a little bit and we can delve deeper into a few things around challenges with work later on with people that I deal with on a daily basis. But mate, for me personally, I too had to battle, and I don't like to use that word battle because it's got such a negative connotation to it, right? We've lived with and we explore and we manage anxiety and depression. And I have done, mate, from a young age, and it was for multiple reasons. I probably don't think we've got enough time now to pull the red chair out and go into the complete story. But mate, I'll put my hand up, and mate, I'm the first to say that yes, I've had my struggles with anxiety and more so depression. Feeling like I'm in that deep, dark hole that I can't pull myself out of.
Yeah. And this is about the three key words that I use in this segment when talking about the chat of vulnerability, bravery, and honesty. And I think they're three things that a lot of men are lacking. We might think we're brave because we're big and we're tough, but that's, it's a different sort of bravery. I think being honest and vulnerable and brave. I mean, for me, when I was struggling, that's what I found brave, when people were like, well, you know what? I've been through shit too. Like, I've had that problem. I've had this challenge, whatever that happens to be. So that vulnerability, bravery, and honesty, I think the more we can bring that to the surface as men, the more that other men can go, oh shit, okay, well, he's part of my crew, he's part of my crew, he's part of my crew. We've all sort of collectively had this challenge. And then when you share ideas and what you've gone through and little tips, and even if it's not any advice, it's just that experience of, yep, I get you, I hear you, and let's catch up for a coffee, a beer, a game of golf, a game of chess, whatever the fuck it happens to be, right? Just feeling like you're heard, I think, is so important. So a little bit more about your story. For a start, you're my brother-in-law. Forgot to mention that. And I've known you for, I think I did the maths just before this call. I think it's about 16 years that I've been sort of with your sister. And I probably knew you a couple of years maybe before then through soccer with Deck and stuff like that. So it's been a long time. I've seen, a big portion of each other's lives, the highs and the lows. So, mate, if again passing, back over to you, if you're just wanting to share a little bit more about, any challenges or any sort of time periods in your life that you're happy to sort of shed some light on, because, I admire you for a huge amount of reasons, but how honest you are, how loyal you are, how passionate, the grit, the hard work, you don't sort of tippy toe around shit. You're very direct. And I think, that's awesome. That's what this is about. That's what the chat's about. And I think that can be really helpful to have a mate like that just, calls you out or would just go, hey, you look like shit. Like, what's going on? Let's chat. Like, what's going on right now? So I think having a friend like you, and a brother-in-law like you, and having that person in your corner, I think everybody needs someone like that person. So yeah, huge amount of respect goes out to you from Dave Dot. But if you're happy to sort of share a little bit about your challenges, that'd be helpful. Whatever you're comfortable sharing.
Yeah, mate. Look, I'm very comfortable with who I am right now, mate. And you and I have been together for a long time. I'll open up from an early age. We've had relationship breakdown in the family. Not only did I watch my family go through it once, but I watched my family go through it twice. Lived with separated parents, not just once but twice. And as a young man, I didn't think I struggled with it. I actually thought that I coped quite well. But as the time, as the days and the weeks and the months and the years go by, and as you start and become a young adult, and you're masking your weekend with copious amounts of alcohol and drugs and gambling, and that's that deep dark hole that you start to fall down, right? And then plenty of people can, and I too at times, why me? Why me? Why me? Why am I the victim? Instead of actually taking a step to go, well, hang on a minute, I'm actually creating more problems for myself than actually doing something about it. And it's easy for me to sit here right now and have this conversation, and it sounds like it's an easy. They are easy steps to take, but I can fucking tell you, mate, they're not. They're extremely hard. I'm close to 40 years old, and you want to talk about getting your life together. Mate, my life has only been together really for the last 5 years. Yeah. Prior to that, as I said, relationship breakdowns, and that's personal relationship breakdowns as well, and over time, I've reflected on a lot over the years around like self-sabotaging. I was a product of self-sabotaging. Whether it was I didn't think that I deserved to be happy. I don't know. I still can't tell you what it is. All I know now is I've got control method in place to make sure that I don't go back to where I come from, 25, 30 years ago. Sporting achievements or sporting failures, sorry. That's another thing that sort of plays in the back of my mind. I played some pretty high level soccer, football for a very long time. Didn't pursue or progress to as far as what I probably would have liked, or what I was capable of, and that too was through bad choices. Look, we talk about bad choices. I've made them by the thousands, and looking back on it, do I think, would I do things differently? And in hindsight, you say, yeah, I probably would. But when you actually sit down and reflect on, where I've been and the bullshit that I've sort of been through, and, places that I've come from, I'm very happy and comfortable to sort of look at that now and not look at myself like a victim. It tells a really cool story. And my story and my journey from where I've been to where I am now, mate, I'm so fucking proud of myself.
Yes.
Not only for me and for you and the family, but I'm proud. It sounds a bit corny, right? But I feel like I've got a gift, and that gift is to help people go through their struggles. And mate, nothing breaks my heart more than, mate, females included, but to see my mates go through pain. That's male and female, mates, family. I've been there. I've lived it. Woken up on days where you don't even want to go back to sleep. You want to literally bury yourself in a hole, and it's those dark, deep thoughts. They're scary. They are scary, and if you don't have the right support around you, it's shockingly sad to say that, people don't know how to dig themselves out of that, and their only way out is to do things that, I don't even really want to bring up now and open that Pandora's box. But unfortunately, that's suicide. I was touched on that last year, in a big way.
Yeah. No, we've both had people close to us, make that call, and it's pretty, heartbreaking for us, family, the world. They lose a pretty special piece, and I guess that's part of what we do, what you do, what I do. We try and help, right, in any way that we can, and that's huge. And just to touch on what you said before about how proud you are of how far you've come. Looking back at challenges that we've been through, you, me, a lot of people, all of us to a degree. I don't think it's necessarily like being grateful for those challenges, but it's almost drawing strength from those challenges, right? Like a lot of us have gone through really, tragic stuff, and it's not going, I'm grateful that happened, but it's just a mindset shift of going from that. What did I learn? How am I a better person? How can I better serve my family, etc.? And generally, those big challenging times in our life are pretty pivotal, and they teach us pretty massive lessons that we're like, that point, that challenge, that speed hump, that roadblock, that fucking bomb, whatever it was, that made this happen, or that opened this door, or that, COVID's a huge example, right? Like how challenging that was for a lot of people. It started the Mindful Men Project. It kickstarted, it started businesses. People lost their job, but they might have pursued something else. We spent time closer with our family in our box that we couldn't leave, so they weren't necessarily good things, but from it, sometimes some good has come. Sometimes there's a little bit of a silver lining, or a little bit of a, positive that's sort of sprouted from that, that tragedy. And I think that's something that me personally, I draw on, all my challenges with anxiety and stuff like that over the years. There's strength that I've drawn from them that make me a better person, a better coach, a better mentor, a better trainer. And it's created who I am today. And your challenges that you've had, you probably wouldn't be sitting there as a general manager of a labour hire and recruitment company had it not been for those challenges. You would have been spun off on a different path, whatever that happens to be, right? So in that, I think we can, draw a little bit of strength and a little bit of, light on those situations.
I couldn't agree more, mate. And I kind of sit back and reflect on, how I got in the position, why I landed in the position that I have. And I'm very fortunate that, I've got an extreme work ethic, which I'm really proud of. But I think the main contributing factor is that me as a person, I need to be working with people. I need to be working around people, and that's like every day. I had a conversation yesterday with a guy, and I'm really loving this movement that we're creating about, that it is okay to talk. I had a guy ring me yesterday, and just to chew the fat around, he had a couple of challenges in his life, and I kind of sit back and reflect on those phone calls, and I'm like, you know what? If I was working in a different environment where it was away from people, I wouldn't be able to have those meaningful conversations. I wouldn't, and when you're obviously talking with other people, it helps clarify, quantify, really cement the fact that we're doing all right. We've come from some big challenges and big struggles, and whatever those key words that you want to use, we've come from those moments, and we've managed to come through the other side. We can provide some info and shed some light. And the best word that I can give is we give other people hope. That for me is massive. When we're two guys, right? We've had our challenges. We've come from where we've come from. We are where we are now, and there's been a lot of stuff in between, which I really appreciate and respect. You don't get to where people like you and I are without hard work. There's no two ways about it. But with where we are right now, the movement that you're trying to create, and the movement that I'm very, very proud of myself, mate. I definitely think we're on the right path, because I look back at a time when I was in my early 20s, floundering sort of through life, not really knowing where my niche in this world was, and it was the ups and downs and the self-sabotage and all of that combined, and I truly felt like I couldn't talk to anyone at that point in time. Like, we've always got there's always people around, right? And we've highlighted the fact you're my brother-in-law. You've been around for a long time. My brother, my mum, my mates, they've always said, I'm here, talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. But it's not, that's not a thing. Your mind just shuts off. You're like, yeah, I know you love me. I do. I know you love me, but I still can't talk to you.
I'm in a fog, right?
It's just that brick wall. Like, you look at sort of, 10, 12, 15 years ago, why would I come, to you with my problems when I didn't actually think you would understand my problems, because you've never been there. So all you've been is a sounding board. But when we've got guys that have, lived it and breathed it, and and mate, you are living it and breathing it every day. And, not only are you doing that, but, the study and the time and the effort and the care that goes into it all. And I know what that's like, mate. I'm sort of doing it in different angles, in our business as well. To be a person that opens up in a platform like this to say, hey, I'm here. I struggle. I struggle. I have struggled. I still struggle now. But I care. I think it's really, really important.
Yeah. And a big thing like that you just mentioned before about talking about you and I individually and where we are now, and the fact that we struggled. And as you just mentioned, then it's not only that we struggled or that you struggled. Like, I continue to struggle. Like, it's not that chapter's done. Like, I'm killing it now. I'm happy as now. Like, I continue to struggle. You have your good days, you have your bad days, you have, curveballs thrown at you that, you feel like you're getting kicked on the ground. So in that element, where we have worked and we have had challenges, and we've had little wins and losses and big wins and big losses and all that stuff, that just to highlight that it's not just for anybody that's, struggling. It's not just that you go, oh, sweet, okay, now I'm good. Right. Like, it can be an ongoing thing, and more often than not, it is an ongoing thing. But as you said, I think rather than battling, it's managing. So when I talk about, my mental fitness, which is, keywords that I use in the Mindful Men Project and, other areas of business around this training, I talk about routine and habits, right? Like, habits are a foundation of what I do with clients, whether it's training, whether it's coaching, whether it's nutrition, whether it's mindset. And I think creating a foundation of habits in your routine that keep you like on the flip side, if our routine is sleeping in and gaming and staying up late and drinking and smoking and doing drugs and gambling, that's our routine, and you can see that those are drawn towards not great outcomes for our health, for our well-being, for our sleep, for our moods, all that sort of stuff. So solidifying and creating a healthy routine and a healthy baseline of whatever that happens to be for the individual, right? So for you as an individual where you are, and as you said, of your struggles and, you have good days and not so good days, what are for you personally some of your mental fitness habits that are routine, right? That you implement either daily or weekly or periodically that you think are really important to sort of helping you stay mentally fit?
Yeah, and mate, I really like this question because I can give a real life example that happened this morning. So my partner Dot had to go to work early. So ordinarily I leave home work early. I leave home for work early, sorry. And Dot takes care of the family. Now this morning the roles were reversed. Dot had to go to Sydney. I had to do all the family stuff. I had to get both kids up, so Charlie and Bodie, get them ready for school, sort of manage work, on the phone at that point in time, drop the kids at school, and had to factor in my family and my professional life this morning. And I don't do that regularly, and it's not by choice. It's just how things end up with work.
Yeah.
But taking that on this morning, I felt myself so overwhelmed. I've got a 3, almost 4-year-old screaming at me. I've got an 18-month, flipping chairs and, trying to hit my TV with a water bottle. I've got my phone going off in the background. I've got blokes calling in sick for work. And I'm like, oh, my God, it was chaos in here. And I stopped. I had to stop. So I said to Charlie, I grabbed Charlie by the hand and said, "Come on, let's go for a walk outside." Open the back door and sort of put them in the corner, and they played with their toys for a minute. And I just took 30 seconds to stop and breathe,
Yeah.
to just be there in that moment.
Yeah.
Because the chaos that was going on, and I could have let this morning impact my whole day, right? But
Yes.
we talk about mental fitness and, what the coping mechanisms behind that. My biggest coping mechanism, and I will suggest to anyone every day, is just stop and take a breath.
Yeah. Yeah.
Try and clear that chaos out of your head, for whatever that looks like. This morning for me, fuck me dead. I thought I was going to have a nervous breakdown for a couple of minutes, but that's just your mind playing tricks on you, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
Stop, put the phone down, turn the TV off, move the kids into another area where they were going to play, and I just calm myself down.
Yeah. It's so simple, right? Like I talk about, breath work and meditation, and, breath work and mindfulness is basically what you said, pausing, being in the moment, breathing. I talk to clients about breathing all the time, and it's almost comical, the simplicity, right? Stop and breathe. It's like, well, I fucking breathe like I've been breathing since I was born, and I will continue to till the day I die, subconsciously. But when you just stop and just take some deep breaths, I always say, like, before going into exams, when I used to get anxious, my dad would say, "Deep breaths, mate, deep breaths." And as a kid, you're like, "Whatever, Dad, fuck, I've got maths, I'm freaking out." Right. But the simplicity in it, like now as a 37-year-old coach and mindfulness and meditation teacher, I'm telling people the same thing. I'm advising them to do the same thing. I've got clients that are, run law firms, and they're implementing this stop and take a couple of deep breaths before stressful phone calls, as you said, to just put it down. Right. And as you said, like an analogy that you sort of reminded me of is, if you get sand and put it in a jar this morning, shake that up, and that's what your brain looks like, right? If we just stop and set that jar down, all the sand just settles to the bottom and it creates clarity. And as sort of as cliche as that analogy is, it's so true. Our brain is often like, we're moving, we're still shaking all that shit up in our head. If we just stop, it'll just go, and we're just like, okay, all right, now I can be more rational and more, make better choices around things. Because when we're in that shaken up stage, we're just like, we're making rash choices. We're moving too quick. We're thinking too quick. We're scattered, right? And that's the state of overwhelm, stress, and anxiety, which, we know so well. So yeah, just that stopping down. What a simple, awesome tip. And what I love about it as well is, you don't need anything. You don't need a car. You don't need a meditation cushion. You don't need a cup of coffee. You don't need your guitar, all those things that sometimes help people relax. Just like, to me, I'm going to have my breath anywhere, anytime, right? So that's an awesome tip. Yeah. Is there anything else is part of that mental fitness strategy for Brad Lord?
Yeah, reminding myself that I, as a person, have some, negative triggers. That's for sure. And being aware, being mindful, that I reminding myself of, the bad times that were in the past, and the paths that you can take when you're under a bit of mental stress and fatigue, and having to remind myself regularly, sometimes, really regularly, that I don't need to stop and reach and have that beer. I don't need to go out until 4 o'clock in the morning to overcome a couple of stresses that I've had in the day. I think everyone's got their own triggers, and we all make different choices. But for me, mate, it's just being mindful, being aware that I'll probably never, as a human, I'll probably never actually completely heal, and that's okay. It's just making the right choices every day. And then, when things do get too gnarly and chaotic upstairs, just to stop and take a breath.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
awesome.
That's my mind. That's my mind, mate, in a nutshell.
That sort of reminds me of is being aware of your triggers and creating an environment that triggers positive behaviors, right? So it's like, if you're an alcoholic, for example, and you're like, I'll just put beer in the fridge, but I'll just leave it. You're setting up your environment to fail, right? It's not that you're a failure. You're creating an environment that is conducive to you actioning out certain steps. Whereas if you have an environment that has positive shit on your walls and, positive messages and photos of your kids and, anchors that I call them in coaching, like this thing over here, and I've got a motivational wall here. I've got photos that the kids have sent me. I've got all these things in my environment that subconsciously make me think about growth, my family, my lifestyle, like what I want to give back, what I want to create, my purpose, my passion. Like if we can create an environment that is conducive to us moving in a direction that we want to move, and as you said, being aware of our triggers, right, and sort of eliminating any triggers that open up the floodgates to those behaviors, we're just making it easier for ourselves. It's like when I talk to clients about nutrition, if you're buying shit food, it's not that you lack willpower, you're setting yourself up for failure, right? So it starts with the shopping list. But we can do that with our lifestyle and our environment and our office and our car and all of those sort of things, creating an environment where there's positive music and sunlight and, fresh food and positive things that trigger us subconsciously to think happy things and be motivated towards goals and, vision boards and all that sort of stuff. As airy-fairy as it might seem, it works, right? Because it's set up for a good environment and a positive environment.
I agree, mate. I've got family pictures and different things over there. I've got a huge. It's a fluorescent light that says.
Yes.
I've had Katie, my business partner, that says "One Team, One Dream" written on it. Just keeps me focused on our whole business. As corny as it might be, some people will look at it and go, why have you got that? I've got that because I want that and I need that. For here.
Yeah. And that's so true. You do what works for you. It doesn't matter about anybody else. It doesn't matter about, whatever anybody else thinks or whether it derives any meaning to them. It's, working out what works for us, how we want to live, who are we being, right? I talk to clients about that a lot. It's like thinking about when we're in challenging moments, like, who am I being? Am I being the dad that I want to be, right? Am I being the coach or the person or the brother or the friend or the bloody person down at the post office that's picking that up? Like, am I being who I want to be there, or am I being a dick? And I think, that making those choices in the moment that are sort of conducive to us being who we want to be can be really helpful. And all it takes is just stacking those to move in a direction that we want to be in.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, mate. So I engaged a business mentor at the back end of last year, and that was one thing that he challenged me with. He said, who are you? Who are you as a person? Who do you want to be? As a father, a brother, a mate, a business owner, a leader, and your who goals. He said, identify 3 who goals, and those who goals shouldn't be about one little pocket or of an area of your life, but it should be who you are as a person. And you spoke about vulnerability before. Like my 3 who goals that I identified for myself is integrity, vulnerability, and consistency. I want to be a man of great integrity, a man that displays vulnerability, and I want to be consistent. And that's consistent as a father. It's consistent as a mate. It's consistent as a son. It's those 3 who goals for me are really powerful.
Yeah, because all the other stuff trickles down from them, right? Like if you focus on those 3, the other behaviors are infinite that sort of trickle back up to sort of topping up those buckets.
Yeah.
That's us today. Thank you, Brad Lord, brother-in-law, legend, general manager of Backham Hire Group. Mate, thank you for showing honesty, bravery, and vulnerability. Hugely, hugely respect you as a person, as a brother-in-law, and, on many, many levels. So, mate, thank you for taking the time out of your day today, and I will chat to you soon.
Yeah, no worries, mate. Thank you for having me. And look, just a reminder, and I want to stay away from the corny catchphrases, but the Are You OK Day, I want people to remember that Are You OK Day is every day, not one day. Yeah, and it is okay, mate. I love what you're doing. I think it's fantastic. Keep doing what you're doing. It's that ripple effect, right, mate? You're going to impact so many lives on a positive note, mate. I'm super proud of you, and mate, keep doing what you're doing, and I'm happy to be a part of it. Thank you.
Thanks for your time, man. I'll chat to you soon.
No worries. Thanks, mate.
See you, bro.